2024 to order. Will you join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll continue standing for the invocation, Rabbi Bloom from Congregation.
To the sovereign of all existence and source of all humanity, and God of freedom, we hear your charge. Inspire us to love and protect our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. We pray for courage and conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, hard-won rights that define us as an American people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who serve our country and our community with selfless devotion to make our town, Hilton Head, a safe place to live in. We pray for the elected officials and their good health, and for them to have the wisdom to make sound decisions based solely upon the welfare of the community that they were elected to serve. We also pray for and give thanks to the staff of this town who support the work of our elected leaders, and may they maintain the commitment to put service above self as well. We are grateful, dear God, for the rights of liberty, life, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders attributed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that they and that all of us will be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all the people in Hilton Head, now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank goodness.
On to the agenda. Mr. Orlando, are there any changes in today's agenda?
No, sir.
All right. Can I have a motion to accept the agenda as is?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is moved 6-0. And please.
7-0.
7-0. I'm sorry. We've had people on vacation. I'm trying to get back on track here. So, thank you, Glenn. Next, we'll have the approval of the minutes for June 18th, July 23rd, and August 6th.
Move to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes as stated, please signify by raising your right hand. That passes 7-0. Report of the town manager, Mr. Orlando.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council and members of the public. I would like to today provide a little bit of a synopsis and some after-action discussion report on our recent tropical storm, Debbie. So a big thank you to all of you, Town Council, a thank you to our community, and as well a very important thank you to our town staff. A little bit about the event, a little bit about what we saw as a team, and then some after action. So prior to the event beginning Friday, August 2nd, staff initiated communication with private communities and golf courses and everybody that had any to do about property management and maintenance to warn them of the potential risks associated with Debbie, urging them to lower water surface elevations in the lagoon systems to maximize stormwater storage capacity and to clean all drainage system intakes. We inspected critical components of the town's drainage infrastructure, including the 4 pump stations, major control structures, and primary channels and outfalls. And then the basics. We removed trash cans, beach chairs, umbrellas, and every other thing that we could find from our beach, including stabilized our own facilities and parks. Tropical Storm Debbie began affecting Hilton Head on the evening of Sunday, August 4th, and we all heard the news. We were anticipating, or at least being warned, for up to 30 inches of rainfall. While her Tropical Storm Debbie didn't bring 30 inches of rain, thankfully, we did see 10 inches of rainfall from Sunday to Wednesday and 2 feet of storm surge in and around the same time at high tide. Palmetto Electric reported 3 outages, so that's a lot. There were 5,700 customers without service, but it was returned service quickly. but that is not a lot of power outages on our island for a long period of time with a storm like that. We do have an app, My HHI. It's a See, Click, Fix app. It's an app that you can get on and let us know what the issues are. We had close to 30 requests, and they were all addressed before the EOC closed. So folks would call us and say the storm inlet was blocked, we would get out there and fix it. A branch was down, we would get out there and remove it. And then through a request provided by our Gullah Geechee Historic Neighborhood Community Development Corp., as well as town fire rescue staff, we conducted several wellness checks. We responded to reports of flooding across the island, and we looked, we got there as quick as we could to verify, assess, document, and help. A couple examples of that was on Helmsman Way at Palmetto Bay Marina and on Sea Olive Road in Point Comfort. So a little bit about both. The town contractors and SCDOT from Greenville, we were very fortunate to have the staff and the team from South Carolina Department of Transportation here from Greenville during this storm. Staff and the DOT staff, our staff, were able to restore flow to the drainage infrastructure on Helmsman Way. And then on Sea Olive Road, there was going upward of 6 inches of rainwater in the middle of the road, and it started to creep into the residential structures. And once we determined where the downstream outfall was, somewhere near the marsh of Point Comfort, it says the marsh of Point Comfort Creek was plugged or clogged. Staff contacted the DOT Beaufort Maintenance Office, and within 10 minutes, that maintenance office, along with DOT, were on Sea Olive Road, clearing with a jet vac truck to clear the blockage. And within about 15 minutes, it was like a bathtub. The water disappeared. During this time, our several pump stations, our Lawton, Jarvis Creek, and Wexford pump stations, in over about 161 total hours, pumped 441 million gallons of water. 7 damaged structures, 5 residential, 2 commercial, mostly flood issues. And then some after action, and we're always trying to learn. And so after action, I'm very proud of Tom Dunn, Chief Blankenship, Jeff Nitzinger, Sean Colin, Sean Leiniger, and a whole bunch of others, Derek Coaxum. I can't say all their names. We have more than 75 after action items just from staff alone. And so some of those are to evaluate the development of a sandbag program for the town. We know that sandbags were dropped by Beaufort County in Bluffton and then northern Beaufort County, but not on Hilton Head. And so we contacted the county and we realized that they had limited resources, limited staff, and we know that if we're gonna have sandbags on our island, a partnership with them is needed. We coordinated with Beaufort County and SCDOT on preventative ditch maintenance. I saw a couple emails today on additional ditch maintenance issues even after the storm that we are already out there to improve upon. We will have a more improved emergency management dashboard for town council for you to use, for me to use, and for the staff to use. And also for the public to key in and know what's going on in the community. We are working on that EM dashboard as we speak. We'll prepare a daily situation report with you and for you, and then share that with the community so that everything is comprehensive and all in one place. And I would like your feedback over time on our new and improved hurricane preparedness guide that the staff, that Tom Dunn prepared for mayor and town council and the community. So I know Tom's curious, I'm curious, was the information useful and did it help you during the storm? I think we need to really assess some options to position that jet vac truck to provide these quick responses. Had we not had that jet vac truck, I would be telling you about many more significant flooding issues. So again, thank you to DOT for having that close by, and thank you to Beaufort County for mobilizing with us. A little bit about our pump stations, just real quick, because I mentioned them a couple times. Jarvis Creek Pump Station, it won a Municipal Association Award in 21. Lawton Station and Wexford Station and the Shipyard Booster Station, they're key players, they're key pumps in our line of defense against flooding. Jarvis Creek pumps water from 1,000 acres into Jarvis Creek. Lawton Station protects 2,000 acres by pumping to Lawton Creek. and Wexford manages water flow into Broad Creek, and that serves a 1,500-acre watershed. And so when I say those pump stations, it's not just for those immediate areas, but it's for significant areas surrounding them. And those stations are specifically designed to operate during these extreme events, demonstrating resilience and preparedness of our community. And I say this to say thank you to everybody, to let the folks know that we're impacted, that we're working towards little solutions and big solutions. And I just want to say to this staff, the leadership of Chief, the leadership of Tom Dunn, a big thank you.
Thank you. Great information, and hopefully we won't have to experience any more this year or next year or the years to come. Moving on to the Hilton Head Island Destination Marketing Organization Quarterly Report, Angie Stone.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Town Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, Town Manager. In March, we began doing quarterly reports of the DMO's efforts on our behalf to market the destination. And I think those have been very successful. These reports occur about 45 days after the close of each quarter. So the one that you'll receive today is for the quarter ending June 30th. Our team has worked closely with the DMO to ensure alignment of their efforts on our behalf with the destination's values that you all have articulated. These reports provide you not only with an insight into the activities the DMO is taking on our behalf, but also give you an opportunity to ask questions of the DMO leadership. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ariana Pernice, the Vice President of the Visitors and Convention Bureau. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor, Town Manager. Thank you all for having me this afternoon on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and DMO. We're excited to present what seems like it has been a little bit ago was 2004 Q4 results. So if you will, I have a presentation and we can go through that and stop me along the way if you have any questions. So again, the time frame we're looking at here is April through June of 2024, which would have been fiscal year Q4 for us. Again, driving all of our efforts in the out market, determined by 50 miles or further, we are driven by our core destination values, which again, we held hands to determine what those were together a couple years back and have been charting that course ever since. So that's ecotourism, history, arts and culture, recreation, and wellness. We're going to divide the information that we're providing this quarter into sections. So this is our quarterly highlight. What was the one or two big things that happened over the past 3 months, April, May, and June, excuse me, I had to get my months right, April, May, and June, that we wanted to bring forward to let you know that were happening. And these two actually happened in the PR world, and very excited to bring forward that the New York Times was able to highlight Andrew Carmine's and all of his efforts surrounding mariculture and how he brings that forward every single day through his efforts and touches on just our ecotourism here in the destination. This is no small get. This is a really big opportunity and one that Charlie Clark and her team have worked really hard and managed that relationship to bring Andrew and his story, but really more importantly, the story of the destination forward. And so this was a big opportunity, as you see here, 1.4 million just within their digital audience. So excited that we were able to bring that forward. As you can see some of the imagery there where he's talking about his cuisine and had that time with the editor. In addition, Charlie and our team were in New York, and they, again, were on the effort of bringing forward ecotourism, the importance of our environment to all the editors that they can round up and have and host in one space. And these are just a snapshot of who was there in attendance during this event. She does these once, possibly 2 times a year, and it's a really good opportunity to bring the destination to life and a one-stop shop for these editors that, again, that she's curated with her team to bring forward and tell that deep and important story of Hilton Head Island. In terms of paid media partnerships, Again, charting that effort of our 5 important pieces that we want to bring forward. We're working closely with Kingdom Magazine. This piece that we had was a 3-page run, and that was in there from April through July. The distribution was over 205,000. The readership is over 780,000. But more importantly, this piece speaks to that high-end consumer that we're looking to reach. And we've defined that consumer for you in previous conversations, but 250,000 household income or higher, has the propensity to travel. They love the luxury lifestyle. If they love luxury in terms of travel, they also love other luxury goods, and we're bringing that forward, and again, in publications in which they might read. And so this was another opportunity for us to build that brand awareness within this readership group. And Smithsonian has been a great partner. Again, we have the Smithsonian affiliate here on the island with the Coastal Discovery Museum, so it's a great piece. And one I think I mentioned in my last effort, but we actually worked very closely with Rex and his team to help us bring this story to life even more. I had the opportunity to meet with our point of contact at Smithsonian just a week ago, and she said in particular how well this online piece, which is still running and will run to the end of this month, is doing. They have an interest in their readership group, has an opportunity to spend additional time than you would see on any other digital or print piece for that matter. They're spending, anywhere from 3, 5, 6, 8 minutes on, reading different articles. And it's really that engagement that you just really can't imagine is happening, but their readership is very engaged. And in this instance, it's not anything different than that. We are getting great engagement. To date, we've had over 1 million impressions to this article itself, and it's really a wonderful piece. The link is there for you to access, and just one that we hope to take from here and share that over other content outlets that we have as well. Domestically, we've been working really hard, but also internationally, and I don't think we talk about that a lot. Before COVID, we talked about, it was just part of our mix and who our customer base was. Our customer base does include international. I think during COVID and post-COVID, immediately after, we focused so much on the domestic because it was here, and they really couldn't go anywhere else, and we were open, and it was a wonderful opportunity. But as we get further and further away from COVID and the closures and people are opening back up, international is such an important piece to this whole conversation of travel and tourism, especially during our need timeframes of fall and winter. And from historically speaking, and what we're seeing from a measurement standpoint, Canada is a great friend of ours. Also, the UK and Germany are great travel partners that love to come and visit the destination and spend a bit of time here. They're not just spending a week; they're spending 2 weeks, 2 months. It really depends, but they have the time to travel, and they're doing it here on Hilton Head Island. So it is something that we're re-engaging and making an effort with, is that international marketplace within those 3 markets. And it is an initiative from the state down, from the state tourism, that we're following and supporting, but really honing in on the areas that we know work well for us. So this is one piece that we're working with. It's wallpaper. Again, a luxury lifestyle magazine, and we're talking about our destination. And we've just started to broach that conversation with their readership. So this is one of our first efforts with them, but we have a second buy coming down the line. Again, 1.7 million in their digital audience and 100,000 with their print circulation. We'll have some results of that shortly. They're just finalizing those details now. And we've spoken about this piece. It was a very long media buy in terms of our campaign dates. Condé Nast Traveler, who has been a great partner of the destination for many years, this particular campaign was a digital and social campaign that ran from October of 23 through June of 24 in different iterations, which is quite unusual in the sense that it was such a long flight in terms of a media buy, but it was really doing so well that the content was there, and we just repurposed it in several different capacities to really make it work as hard as we possibly could to engage our consumers and readership on the Condé Nast side. So who is that Condé Nast consumer and reader? They spend $11 billion on travel. That's amazing to see, and 9 million are engaging on their social media channels. And what we've seen in their readership is they do these polls every year with the readership, and it's like, what do they have a propensity to do? Like, why are we speaking to them? And we've seen an uptick in their interest in cultural travel as well as culinary travel. So those details that we, get real time from our partner at Condé Nast really allow us to carve and shape our messaging to really hit home on what's important to us. And these happen to align with 2 of the 5 pillars that we are pushing as well. And each one of these are linked as well. So we did 4 here. And again, I encourage you to watch them. We've shown them a couple different times, but they're great and they kind of live forever. So I think that's amazing. And we can reuse this content in other ways with Condé Nast further down the line. But what did this partnership do for us? So with the long flight time of October through June, if I'm not mistaken, if I read that right, yep, I was right, so October through June, we delivered over 21.5 million impressions. So people who were able to see our content. So that's a really great reach, an intense, deep reach with our Condé Nast Travel readership. We had over 1.9 million views of our video. They are active readily on TikTok. So they had over 214,000 TikTok completes. Again, watch the video all the way through. As you know, you can scroll and skip content, but they watch the complete video. And then high impact engagement. So taking all the ways you can interact with social media, like it, comment it, share, what have you with it. That's kind of an all-encompassing metric of 792,000. So again, this one worked really hard for us, and we're really proud of it, and we hope that you're able to still access those links and talk about them, because they're pretty good things in there. And heading back to public relations, Charlie and her team again have done an amazing job of just constant drumbeat of the destination and our pillars of what we're offering and focused on. If you just look at these impressions and ad values, over 1,000 stories and mentions. She's working hand in hand with these editors and publications, both online and print, to bring forward all the things that we're so excited to talk about. And so that's every day, every time she gets the opportunity, she's talking with people from Travel Noir. In this instance, she's highlighting here that they were talking about the Hilton Island Seafood Festival. In May, she highlights Forbes, and in June, the New York Times piece, and that was the Andrew Carmine's opportunity. But again, there's so many more within each month that are listed. This is just a snapshot, but again, really pumping out every single day the importance of this destination and how we want you as a visitor to be a great steward, just like we as community members are great stewards of our community. And our vacation planner. So our vacation planner is one that we produce annually, calendar year, and there's 85,000 units that we produce. And we fulfill them in many different ways, but again, you can order those online, you can walk in and get them. They're at both airports, they're at the hotels, AAA offices, and the welcome centers for South Carolina. But more importantly, it's a coffee table book that speaks so highly of everything that we're talking about. It really pulls people in, tells that complete story of what our pillars are asking us to do, right? Tell the deeper story beyond beach, beyond the fact that we're a beautiful island and have golf, but tell that deeper story. And we are very excited to announce that we were just recognized for this book for the best in the country, and we were excited about that recognition and bringing that book forward, because we know we're very proud of it. Collectively, we've all approved it, and we love the way it is working for us, but to be recognized on the national level was a very exciting opportunity as well. So congratulations, and we're very excited to keep moving forward with that piece. So we've talked about the website and social media being kind of this combined effort of how, print in the sense of the things that we manage, it really is the vacation planner that we are producing and putting those thought efforts into in terms of the pillars and telling that deeper story. But really the website is that virtual front door that helps tell that story for us 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, and people we're hoping are taking that top of funnel opportunity of being aware of Hilton Head and taking that next step of coming to the website and shaking the hands of one of our business members here in the community, and they're doing that. So if you look at our visits or sessions, that's a 986,000 for the quarter, and we've had over 789,000 users. And clicking out, and I'm sorry that's blocked by the image, but over 400,000 are clicking out. Once they come to the site, they're clicking out to our partner businesses, and it's really an opportunity for us to connect businesses with our visitors and engage them with what is important to us as a community member, and it's to see our businesses thrive. Our website performance from HiltonHeadIsland.org. We went a little deeper this time, just trying again to share as much information about the performance from the quarterly standpoint. So what were the top pages when I said that we had over 204,000 visits or sessions? Where did they go? So the homepage, that's a great place to start. We love it there, but they're also interested in things to do, where to dine, and the offers. So that's, again, a quarterly snapshot. That's not comprehensive of the year to date, but we'll continue, and we do this. We're already doing this, but tracking and watching where people are going and, adjusting our efforts as needed. But I thought this was a good place to start in terms of conversation. The woman skews a little heavier in terms of being the one who is visiting the website, 58% to 42%, and the leader within the age range is 55 to 64. So, but I thought it was encouraging to see that, the 35 to 44 and 45 to 54 are also in the mix in terms of engaging. So not only the decision maker, but perhaps it's a bigger conversation amongst the family, which is good to see. And when you look at social engagement, this is our organic social. If you're not following, we encourage you to follow. Those are all of our handles. Again, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, Pinterest, and Instagram. And our social sessions, our total audience, 355,000, social sessions at 115,000. This is where we can get those quick little snacks and bites of what the destination is doing. And it's really proven to help push somebody, a consumer, from the social space into the website, and it's been a really great partnership to see those two pieces working together. But let's dive a little deeper into social. I think in the past presentation we had talked about tracking of our social efforts against our pillars of that we focused on of wellness, recreation, arts and culture, ecotourism, and history. So if you can see here, and I apologize for the fine print, but we just have started to capture how many posts within each of these categories that we're doing, right? So you may not see every single one just based on the algorithms that are out there, but we wanted to let you know that those are happening. So just taking wellness, we had 167 posts in that Q4 timeframe, which is an engagement of over 251,000 and over 4.2 million impressions. So those numbers are really encouraging to see just within 3 months how much our visitor or potential visitor is engaged with our brand. We had a resounding, all three were sea turtles. It didn't matter the platform, and I know we're spreading the words about dolphins and piping plovers and all of our sweet animals that we have here in wildlife, but sea turtles won for Q4 across all platforms, and you see that these are the top 3 posts here on May 28th, May 7th, and June 12th. Again, just the strongest engagement. Again, who was watching, how were they watching, and were they liking, sharing, or commenting? And these 3 won. But when we look at hotel, home, and villa occupancy combined, and that is our key data efforts and STR, we're looking at occupancy being for Q4, fiscal year Q4, April, May, and June, down 8%. My eyes aren't working. ADR was up 2%, but unfortunately our RevPAR was down 6%. Again, not dramatically down, but we are aware of these concerns, and the down is never something we like to see, but especially within that RevPAR column. But it is something we're monitoring and watching, and we're working very closely with our hoteliers. We're making adjustments in our content, and it is something we're tracking and articulating and communicating out. So, within our reporting, we do get what's on the books, and we are seeing and having conversations regularly with our partners in the community regarding efforts that we can do to adjust, as well as what they can do to help support these needs in the marketplace. We know that heads and beds means people in retail stores and also at restaurants and visiting our excursions. So we want to make sure that this component of these three efforts stay very healthy. Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from council?
I do have a comment.
Mr. Ames?
Council names.
As always, very professionally presented.
Thank you.
Couple of things. I really appreciate that the chamber is now highlighting our community values, as you refer to them as pillars, so that people know what's important to us. Andrew Carmine's sharing his thoughts and passions on the value of environmental stewardship is incredibly important, not only for this community to be reminded of, but also for people, potential visitors to the island. And also the history story speaks to the same kind of distinguishing values that we have on the island.
Yes, sir.
And I think what's important about that is that by being more upfront with what makes us different, what values we share, we are attracting visitors who also share them. And they're the ones coming to this island who prospectively might purchase real estate and become our neighbors. Having them share our values at the outset is incredibly important to the future of this community. Do you have the capability, or are you already getting feedback that is valuable in enhancing the messaging from the people who are responding to your current media, marketing, and social media, and so on? Get that feedback in any way?
We do, and probably not as comprehensively as we're hoping to be in 6 months or a year from now, because we've started kind of tracking this just when we started our fiscal year that's just passed. But as you see within the tracking of the social media, as well as some of the reporting that we got back from Condé Nast Traveler and other media outlets, the consumer is really understanding and appreciating what we're putting forth. And so whether it be through their own research that they're sharing back with us, or even from comments that we receive on our own social media pages and then the tracking of that, we are starting to somewhat anecdotally, but we're pulling that together to be a formal research.
If you can enhance that and include a summarized report to council in the future, I think that would be valuable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Other comments or questions?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stanford, I'm sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm speaking you from some distance away. First, Ariana, again, a great presentation, a great report. And congratulations on the award for the best travel planner in the country. That's outstanding, and we applaud you for that. We have focused in the past, or you said there's been a focus in the past on shoulder travel versus summer travel.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit how those efforts are coming to fruit.
Thank you, Councilman Stanford. We are not focused on bringing visitors here during the summer timeframe. That's kind of been an understanding as we've worked together for the past 9 years and prior to my time here. The summer is healthy. It takes care of itself for the most part. So our efforts for the DMO are really focused on the shoulder and off-season, early spring timeframe, to ensure that the brand awareness efforts that we have in market are really working hard for us to bring that desired consumer here during those timeframes. So that is our effort. We're pushing those timeframes constantly, and now with the 5 pillars that we're using to create that messaging in the out markets, we're tracking, and we see that through some of our reporting that, those message points are reflected in imagery, they're reflected in our copy, they're reflected in the pages that they're brought to in terms of perhaps things to do, or even some of our just regular blog or social content. It's about what to do and how great those seasons are. So again, we're really focused on that and, adjusting to the needs, obviously, of in real time of what the reporting says. As you can see, we're doing that with our reporting that I just shared. But yes, we do adjust to those timeframes, and then using not just domestic efforts, but also working in that international component, working in key markets that we know work for us, but also taking care of emerging markets that might be new visitors to us. So we're constantly filling our funnel of potential visitors to the destination.
Thank you. A lot of what you've said here is conclusions. I think it would be useful for us to see how you are doing that focus. That is, what is the text? What are the photographs? What is the emphasis on the wonderful spring and fall weather? Those sorts of things that to me are what highlight the shoulder season in our community.
Okay.
And my second question has to do with the decline that you mentioned in occupancy in the last quarter. For that, is that something that has occurred throughout the resort community in the country, or is that something that is specific to Hilton Head Island?
Hey, Glenn, could you go back and repeat that? We were having a hard time hearing you on this side.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of an echo that we're trying to address.
Okay, I'll speak down and try to do the best I can. You have emphasized you've told us about the decline in occupancy. My question is, do we know, is that something that is specific to the Hilton Head Island community, or is it something that is industry-wide, I think you would say? And if, in either case, what are the reasons for that?
Yeah.
Is it the economy? Has travel just leveled off? What are the reasons?
Councilman Stanford, great questions, and it is really national. It's not just us. It is something that I am grateful that we are on this side of, in terms of there are other destinations domestically that have bigger challenges in front of them regarding, and well, let's look not just at occupancy, but average daily rate, which gives us the RevPAR. I think we have to look at those holistically, and together we can't isolate one. I think it really comes down to the economy, right? So things have shifted, and there's been a little bit of this economic uncertainty domestically. People most recently, we've done some recent research and found that there is a large percentage of Americans who are a little shy to put forth their disposable income for travel. So we're working really hard to get in front of those that have the propensity to travel, to push them over to say, hey, let's continue taking that trip. And really pushing forward our 5 pillars. In addition to just the economic challenges that we're facing domestically, internationally, everything is open. It's a bit more affordable to go overseas right now. And it's a challenge that domestic tourism and domestic partners are facing right now in terms of those challenges. But I think we know every single day we're out there trying to understand what is our fair share that we need to have in this destination, and what we can do to make sure that we're getting that fair share to look at this destination and make that decision to travel here. So that's where that constant drumbeat, the good work of what Charlie's doing, the good work of what our partners are doing, but also as a whole, the DMO putting out that message 365 days of, hey, we're here, we're a luxury destination that we would like you to travel to. So it's adjusting in those assets real time.
I would like to see a report on the comparative results of our competitive markets for that same period, or what are the periods you've got the data for. I just want to know we're following market trends here. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Right. Other comments or questions? Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Bernice, thank you,
Yes.
particularly for your ever so evolution in your presentations to us. I think you have been responding to council with questions along the way. To follow up on Mr. Stanford's thoughts. The decrease in occupancy and RevPAR that you stated, is that Q4 versus Q4, or are we looking at year-to-date numbers?
We're looking at Q4. I'm just reporting on Q4 versus Q4. So if we're looking at, and I have papers that you don't, I will share them, that if you're looking at the three combined, occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR, when you're looking against Q4 of '23, fiscal year '23, we're down 8% in occupancy. When you look at fiscal year '24 to '23 Q4 comparison, we're up actually 2% in average daily rate, which is great. So we like to see that continual climb. But if you have any dramatic up or down in either one of those columns, it could impact where you are RevPAR wise, right? So with that down in occupancy, we're down to Q4 of last year, 6% for RevPAR. So again, numbers that we presented, but it's something you want to be mindful of, right? We're constantly making sure that, what are just speaking to our hotels daily about it and our property management companies, they're out there and they're working very hard themselves to ensure that they have, heads in beds. And I think that there is an arms race for that consumer to take notice, and the world is different today. Those are just things that we have to be mindful of, and that we have to work really hard for our fair share right now. But it's something that we can do, and we're not so far down 6%, but it is something that we're watching, we want to be aware of.
And with us sort of measuring the new pillar, 5 that we've agreed upon here, when you show up next, could you possibly start to compare quarter to quarter as far as the pillars are concerned, when you get into some of the efforts when it comes to particularly the social media efforts and whatnot? I think it's important for us to sort of get our heads wrapped around what this looks like from a seasonal basis, because I think that's what we're really trying to accomplish, is to bring a more affluent visitor during the shoulder seasons. But again, since this is so new, I'm not quite sure that we understand when that customer is coming or not coming. And I think that's
Sure.
important for us to try to realize. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Becker?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Welcome. Thank you for the report. It was, as always, very well done, and we appreciate the information. In terms of the comparison between this year and the 2023 that you just described for us, I would be interested in knowing what that comparison is pre-COVID, to know where that real bounce is, and whether or not we're just settling back into a new normal and then adding in the current factors to that, so that we have a bigger picture on that. And then the other piece is, I know that we talk about, and we're very happy that we're working towards looking at resident satisfaction. And we get that report, I think, once a year from a survey. But I'm just wondering, throughout the year, are there any efforts in identifying how the residents are feeling about the quality of visitor, the number of visitors, all of the rest? So if we can get some information more throughout the year about the residents' position vis-a-vis the visitor, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bryson?
I join my colleagues in thanking you, and I think Mr. Ames mentioned the 5 pillars, or our 5 community values, and I really like seeing the icons linked to the specific areas of your report, which leads me to a question about your page on the social engagement breakdown. I don't know whether we can show that on the screen again, and maybe you have a hard copy in front of you, but organized by pillar of community value, and it refers to the number of posts, so I'll wait till you bring that up. Oops.
Sorry, I'll try.
Here we go, that one right there, and maybe you probably have a hard copy, you can read it.
Yeah.
But the number of posts vary, and it looks like wellness is the highest, recreation. So are those posts that someone else makes and we're capturing, or are those posts that the chamber is making on its own social media?
These are posts that are going out on our social media channels. That could be a combination of user-generated content, or it could be our own asset. So it's a combination of, but those posts are ones that fall into those columns. So, and again, across all those channels that we show on the previous screen, and again, across all the channels, and this is organic. So, yep.
Yeah, the reason, I ask about it because I want to know who was posting and where. But also notice that history only has 33 for that quarter, compared to wellness, and I like both of them. It's 167.
Yeah.
Arts and culture 51. So I don't know, in your marketing, it seems like it might be helpful to drive them evenly, or somehow focus on ones that aren't having as many posts. I'm just wondering about that. I know this is our first report, I think, seeing
Yes.
this data, but maybe take a look at that.
Sure.
Because it seems like maybe history doesn't get treated as well, just as a side comment. So anyhow, question about that, pardon me. Then I was curious about the Condé Nast app. And the title that I saw there was called the Feel Good Itinerary. And I can imagine Chuck Mangione's Feel Good playing in the background, but is that an app that, like, can I add the Condé Nast app to my phone and look at the Feel Good Itinerary, or is that something you can provide a link to us?
It's not an app,
Okay.
just to clarify, it's on their social media channels. So
Okay.
Condé Nast handle on Facebook and Instagram, so and TikTok, that they were sharing those videos that we created. They put them out on that. Now, we did create our own Hilton Head Island, we call it a hub, but basically a landing spot for all the content that we've ever done with Condé Nast Travel throughout the years, and these videos do live on that. So you can access these videos on the Condé Nast channel, social media channels, and then I will also send along the link to the hub that we have, that you can see the breadth of content that we've created over the years, and these videos are included in that.
Yeah, and where I'm headed is that if there is, for instance, an itinerary for ecotourism, if there hadn't been, I've been floating this idea for a couple of years now, I call it the Hilton Head Experience.
Okay.
And so if I want to have a wellness experience, where do I go to find that in my week on Hilton Head? If I want to have a history experience, where do I go to find that itinerary? So it seems as though we can promote those various values by having some sort of suggestion to folks who come to visit, to, like, if you want to learn more about the history, here's the itinerary to do that. I compare it to Rick Steves' walking tour of London.
Yes.
And there's different ones. If you want to go to museums, if you want to, see sporting events, et cetera. So it seems as though we can promote more of those areas by something like that. I'm not trying to be the marketing expert here, I'm just asking questions.
No, I love it. And our visitor loves an itinerary, so we will take that away. We do have a itinerary section on our website, hiltonheadisland.org, so we will add to that and then use some of our partner content to even build upon those, and I love those ideas, so we will definitely move forward with those.
I know there's often been marketing about great places to eat in our food culture.
Sure.
And so some, not saying exactly like that, but something similar,
Sure.
I think would help out.
Those are great.
And then the media that's purchased for marketing, particularly these community values, maybe we're not there yet, but can we get an ROI? Like, if you spend X amount of dollars, do we see the return on the investment to promote our community value of history, or our community value of ecotourism?
Okay.
Somehow to measure the marketing produces the respect for our community values.
Okay.
That way. And the last thing to ask about is, at our Community Services and Public Safety Committee meeting yesterday, we talked a little bit about day trippers. And so I don't see any kind of reflection of data, but I know Mr. Wendell brought to us, and I received it yesterday afternoon, some sort of data about day trippers.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I don't know if there's any marketing, or if there's a particular kind of marketing to day trippers. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that. I'm just wondering, because there was a lot of data about day trippers. It's a different kind of market than this, but it can be the same market. If we If these are our community values, then perhaps day trippers ought to know about them as well. So,
Yeah, great. Great
Thank you.
point. Thank you.
Mr. Alford?
When I go back just with a little bit of history, a year and a half ago, when the town officials and the chamber officials met very extensively to think about where we are going in the future with regard to the role of the chamber as our direct marketing organization. And there were several goals that the town was very much interested in, the chamber's pursuing, which included fewer tourists spending more money, and more tourists sought for the shoulder seasons rather than the summer. I am very pleased to see that that's the way the trends are going, and with the adjustments that the chamber has made to those extensive discussions a year and a half ago, even if it means that the chamber is influencing the national economy. So.
All right. Anything else? Thank you. I know we did ask you to prepare this, but I'm going to ask the question. How's July, August shaping up, and what's the future, 3 months look like? Do you have any projections there as to what we're seeing?
I have some papers. So we just had our Q4 data, which would have, encompassed April, May, and June. When we look at July from home and villa, and I have them separately, we are home and villa and hotel, so make sure I get them correct. It's a little softer than we anticipated. So this is on the books, Mayor. It's not the forecast. So for hotels, when we look at average daily rate, it is down 4% in terms of comparing Q1 25 to Q1 24. So July, August, and September. And when you look at RevPAR for hotels, it's down, again, from what's on the books today, down 8%. That's just the hotel, and then the occupancy would be down 5% for the quarter. And again, that's looking at just what's on the books versus traditionally we've looked at forecasts, and with our new research platform, it shows us on the books, which is great because that's what the hotels are seeing in their books right now. It's what we're seeing in real time. But what we're also seeing is a trend of booking closer in. And so where in the past, we had either 6 months or 3 months with a consumer to talk to them about the brand and coming here to visit, people are making decisions within a week and a half. And so, what I report today, I think is something that we should keep, close contact on, because I think it can change.
Well, that's really what I want to do. We're going to be, Mark and I will be meeting later this month to kind of go over the revenue projections from A-tax and H-tax, and this plays right into it. So having that information going forward on a more regular basis will be very beneficial for us, and especially for finance, as we start to look at budgets and where cuts may need to happen or not need to happen. So
Yeah.
okay.
Happy
Great.
to bring that forward to you.
Yeah, great report. Appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Yeah.
a great afternoon. Thank you.
All right, so now we'll move on to general reports from town council. Do we have any general reports? Ms. Bryson?
Just one quick one. I'm looking over at the fire chief because I want to make sure that I have the right kind of award, but Deputy Chief Pfister got some sort of President's Award, and I can't remember the name of the association, but I wanted to congratulate her and to point out that one of our great employees has received recognition. And I would ask the chief to tell us the name of the organization, because I'm sorry, I can't remember.
It's APCO NINA, which is the 911 Communications Council that oversees 911 Communications Centers.
No wonder I couldn't remember the name. Thank you.
Any other general reports? All right, I do have some just quick things. We've got a couple of workshops that are coming up. I just want to make you all aware so you can put on your calendars now. In September, we've got two, one on the 16th, one on the 24th. The first one will be the priority amendments to the LMO. The second one will be review of district plans. And then in October, we've got one on the 8th and the 22nd. And the 8th will be major thoroughfares plan and an update on the adaptive signals. And on the 22nd, the workshop will be on beach renourishment, resiliency update, and stormwater utility update. So, anything else before we go? Awesome. And let's see, we've got reports of the Low Country Area Transportation Study. Mr. Sanford.
Thank you. I am speaking to you from just under 5,000 feet in the North Carolina mountains where it's freezing cold, and I don't mean to rub it in, but I guess I am.
Appreciate that.
The LATS at its recent meeting did a lot of review of long-term plans. One of the things that's going on with LATS right now is they're seeking public input on transportation issues. So if you have thoughts about that, there is a survey. You would go to the LATS, that's Local Area Transportation Study. You would go to their website and you can get that survey and take it and have your opinion count. Then specifically on highways and roads, there was an emphasis on what's going on with the expansion, widening of I-95. There are plans afoot to widen I-95 from the Georgia border up to exit 8, which is the Hilton Head Island exit. Those plans are moving forward. It's anticipated that that project, which includes a whole lot of work, would be completed in 6 years. So it's going to be a while, but at least we're moving forward with widening that highway. Then US 17 connecting over to the Talmadge Bridge. I think you're aware that there's been an effort there to create firmer soil so that you can widen the road. That's been going on for years now, and DOT reports that those efforts have been successful, and they're going to start paving the other side of the road so that there will be adequate space to move down that dangerous highway. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I did fail to recognize Senator Davis that is here, so we thank you for being here today. Report of Low Country Council of Governments, Ms. Becker.
I do not have a report for the Low Country Council of Governments.
Thank you. Beaufort County Airports Board, Mr. Ames.
No report.
Report of the Southern Low Country Regional Board, Mr. Stanford. We did that report last time.
I think we did.
We did. Report of the Island Recreation Association Board, Mr. Brown.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Island Rec Center board and staff members met on last Friday for the annual planning session. Lots of discussion around short-term and long-term goals. The big change coming about will be more working committees at the Island Rec Center. And the one thing that they wanted to make sure that I reported on was, in the spirit of being all-inclusive, their website is now in English and Spanish. That's my report.
Thank you. Report of the Community Services and Public Safety Committee, Ms. Becker.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Services and Public Safety Committee met yesterday. We had one item on our agenda. It was a discussion with regard to a parking fee implementation at the beach parks. After a great presentation by Mr. Gruber, we had a conversation amongst ourselves and heard comments from the public and passed a resolution to move the idea with some specifics on to town council, and we look forward to the full town council considering in the near future.
Thank you. Public Planning Committee, Mr. Ames.
Yes, I've been asked to repeat my report for the July 11th Public Planning Committee. At its meeting on July 11th, 2024, the Public Planning Committee heard a report from the Low Country Regional Transportation Authority regarding the Palmetto Breeze Annual Service Plan. This report included updates on both the trolley service and beach shuttle service, as well as the potential future capital and systems improvement. Following the report, the committee voted to request the town manager investigate alternative strategies to address transportation challenges and opportunities for regional and island services with the goal of increasing ridership. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance Administrative Committee, Mr. Brown.
No report, sir.
All right. We will now move on to unfinished business, the second and final reading of an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of easements to the Hilton Head Public Service District encumbering real estate owned by the town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, under the authority of SC Code Section 5-7-40 and Section 2-7-20 Municipal Code of the Town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and providing for severability and an effective date. Item was approved unanimously at the first reading on July 23rd. Do we need any presentation at this time for council? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Yes, I move council adopt an ordinance of the town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, authorizing the execution and delivery of easements to the Hilton Head Public Service District encumbering real estate owned by the town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, under the authority of SC Code and Section 5740, Sections 2720, Municipal Code of the Town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and providing for severability and effective date. This is a second and final reading.
We have a second? Second. Mr. Alfred? I'd like to remind everyone that the public comment ordinance that we adopted was adopted in June. It states that anyone wishing to sign up, make a public comment, must fill out a form prior to the meeting. Kim, has anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Thank you. So we've got a first and second. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That would be 7-0. Next, we will have consideration of a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Beaufort County for the William Hilton Parkway safety and pedestrian improvements from Beach City Road to Dillon Road and along Palmetto Bay Road. This item was presented to the Finance and Administrative Committee on July 9th and was unanimously voted to recommend for approval to full council. Mr. Colvin.
So if it's the will of council, I have a brief presentation that I can run through. I want to point out that this is an execution step in a project that town council has already supported, but I'll run through the background of what we're trying to accomplish here. So it's an intergovernmental agreement with Beaufort County, and we're asking for you to consider a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute it with the county. They've approved it, and they're asking for our signature and approval on the resolution. Let me slide this over here. So, in coordination with Beaufort County, beginning early this calendar year, we started discussions about ways we could secure some additional funding from the county. They have impact fees that they collect countywide. Many of those are from within Hilton Head Island. As you recall, the adaptive signal system that was installed, we received $3 million plus or minus from Beaufort County to do that. So we continued the conversation, and Beaufort County gave us a number between $500,000 and $600,000 that we could use toward capacity building or safety improvements to enhance our system. Knowing the priority in what we call segment 3 in the Northridge area from Beach City Road to Dillon Road, crosswalk lighting, landscaping, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, speed limit reduction, pathway lighting, uplighting, all of those things are being pursued with SCDOT, and most, not all, but most of those have been approved, and we're getting ready to execute a project. We also knew another project was on Palmetto Bay Road to improve our pavement markings and striping and intersection design there, similar to what we did at the Palmetto Bay Arrow Road, Point Comfort Road. So those were two projects that we supported at staff level and ran those through the town manager and submitted those to Beaufort County as our two projects for consideration. They're both eligible for the impact fee criteria, as I mentioned, capacity building or safety improvements to improve efficiency of the system. Real crude drawing here, but it goes from roughly Beach City Road to Dillon Road. This is what's been presented at corridor workshops as the sort of study area for the Northridge improvements. We shared at the workshop too that this area, which is identified by this rectangle at the top, is our most problematic area from crashes and fatalities, especially with bike and ped with motor vehicles. So the intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $600,000, we ended up at the top end from Beaufort County, and we're thankful for their partnership and cooperation, was approved by the county council on April 8th. On July 9th, our F&A committee unanimously supported this resolution or request for resolution to move forward. And we plan to execute the project and begin in September and complete by the end of October, which is the deadline. And this allows the town manager to request reimbursement grant funding from the county for the $600,000 to fund these projects. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Be happy to make a motion. I move council approve a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Beaufort County for the William Milton Parkway safety and pedestrian improvements from Beach City Road to Dillon Road and along Palmetto Bay Road.
Second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Kim, do we have anybody signed up to speak on this item? No, thank you. Any discussion from council? Yes.
Sir, first of all, we've been looking forward to making these improvements. As you showed in that heat map, unfortunately, we've had a lot of accidents and serious injuries, including fatalities in that area. So I'm very grateful to the staff for pushing this forward finally. I know it's been a bit of a haul to get the permitting from SCDOT, but it looks like we're almost there. And also want to thank our neighbors, the county council, for providing funding for this project. I think it's absolutely essential, and I'm glad we're moving forward. My only question is, I think it was the previous slide where you said there was an SCDOT permit, for most elements. So what are the remaining elements we don't yet have approval for?
Yeah, so, and I can sum up, and I just had a call with our transportation team and 6 people from DOT, including headquarters, at 2 o'clock today. So we had requested the in-pavement uplighting for the crosswalks. We've received approval for those rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFBs, which are the crosswalk signs that light up. But we want the pucks that light up in the crosswalk in those non-signalized intersections.
And pavement itself.
And so there hasn't been a lot of application of those. It's allowed in the MUTCD, the Manual Uniform Transportation Control Manual, but there haven't been a lot. So they've been hesitant to approve those. We had a meeting today all the way up to the headquarters level, and we've submitted a letter to Secretary Powell, also requesting consideration for the puck lighting. We also were able to get a reduction in posted speed limit down to 40. Our request was 35, and so that's the only other element that we'd like to try to push on the pedal a little bit more to get those 2 considerations approved.
So, just curious, the South Carolina Department of Transportation has adopted a complete streets policy. Do those in the pavement pucks, might those be included in the list of complete street policy?
Well, they're in their manual for control devices. The big rub with both the RRFBs and the in-puck lighting is they're hesitant to install them both at the same time because they don't know which one is effective. And so their initial their initial response was a preference to allow the RRFBs and then put the pucks in at a later date to see if the RRFBs were effective. If we put them in together on the call today, they said they wouldn't know which one had more effect or if one had any effect at all if they're combined. So, but our preference is to do them both, and we'll continue to push that forward.
And I think it might be helpful, Mayor, for Mr. Cullen to explain exactly what an RRFB is.
An RRFB, so we have unsignalized crosswalks out there today, and you'll see the bright yellow diamond sign that has a person walking and then an arrow below that pointing to the crosswalk. The RRFBs allow for a push button to activate lights that flash around the outside of the sign. So as a vehicle is approaching that crosswalk, if someone pushes the button, those lights start to flash to alert a motorist that a pedestrian or cyclist is potentially ready to enter that crosswalk.
Is that similar to what Tybee Island has had for a number of years?
Pardon me?
Tybee Island has had something like
I
that.
believe so. I know that they have them in Savannah and other locations that are nearby.
So if someone wanted to see that, they could go to one of those jurisdictions or look at their data.
Yes, ma'am.
YouTube. Google.
YouTube. The mayor's made a YouTube video of those for you.
Not yet.
And then our upcoming workshop on October 8th, we'll make sure to show an image of that or maybe a video of what it looks like.
That'd be very helpful, I think. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Ames?
Yes, I can move council approve a resolution supporting, I beg your pardon,
You've already done
no, I haven't done that one, but
that.
but I've already read the first one.
No. We just had a
Take a
discussion.
vote.
No, I don't, no, I'm sorry.
Trying to get us moving along. All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, I certainly am.
Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. So moved 7-0. Thank you. Next up, we have a resolution to support Best Buddies Certified Inclusive Playground at Shelter Cove Community Park. Our Parks and Recreation Commission voted unanimously to recommend that the town council consider supporting the Best Buddies Certified Playground. Mr. Colvin.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to be up here again. I thank you for having these back to back, so I don't need to get too many steps in today, and Kim's pulling it up here. Again, I have a brief presentation as it relates to the execution of council-approved master plan at Shelter Cove Community Park, and I'll run through it relatively quickly. And the request is for council to consider a partnership opportunity with Best Buddies for an inclusive playground at that park location. So just some background. So we began working on what we called Shelter Cove Park expansion in April of 2022, and working with town council through a series of meetings and workshops to define the program for what we would call that park expansion. There exists a community park out there today. Let me skip ahead just one slide and go back. So the community park as it exists today, Waterwalk Apartments are just off the right side of where my cursor is. And this is the lagoon, this is the event pavilion, the event space, and then the promenade along the water. Currently, the park ends, this is a playground area, and I'll go to the blow up here. The playground area, currently the playground is about half the size of what's shown on this, the master plan that council approved. And so it's expansion basically from this section to the south. It includes the overlook decking and levels there, expanded playground, parking, and a few other elements that are shown here. So as part of that program that was presented to council was extend the promenade further all the way down toward Newport, have pathways through the woods, expand the passive open lawn. Number 4 is important, a larger, more inclusive playground. Add more parking, and then have the iconic overlook structure with views of Broad Creek. And I wouldn't call it a tree house, but there were observation decks that were different levels that you got up into the trees. So on April 18th, a little over a year ago, town council voted unanimously to adopt that master plan, and that's what is seen here. So this is this new section that's part of it. And again, the playground is about twice the size of the playground that exists out there today. So moving forward, in April of this year, we were approached, we have Church each year, Sue and her team. We met with them in April, I think April 11th, to talk about Best Buddies and Miracle Recreation. Best Buddies has been around for 35 plus years, and Miracle Recreation over 100. Miracle Recreation has been building commercial inclusive playground equipment for a number of years and are a leader in that industry. And Best Buddies has been at the forefront in promoting integration of intellectual and developmental disabled folks through parks and their Best Buddy concept. It was created through with Anthony Kennedy Shriver, did I get that right? His mother, of course, was paramount in beginning the Special Olympics in the United States along with the Chicago Park system. And so that has translated out into this Best Buddy International. They've been utilizing a program with schools throughout the country and are trying to partner now with communities for these Best Buddy inclusive playgrounds. And so I think I've captured the kind of the points that are on the screen. But knowing that council's approved a larger inclusive playground, we wanted to bring forward this request to town council through Parks and Rec to get their recommendation to see if you're interested in exploring this partnership. One critical component of these playgrounds are what they call the buddy benches. And these are an opportunity for folks with all different abilities to interact. There's mentoring opportunities, educational opportunities, but they're buddy benches through the Best Buddies program that are included in the playground. What the partnership would allow us to do is to leverage some marketing and branding. Being inclusive is a core value, part of our plan. Core value, being connected, and best in class. And so I think what Miracle Recreation provides, the partnership with Best Buddy, is consistent with those goals. And this would allow us to be one of the first communities, if not the first community, to execute this partnership in the country. So please don't get caught up in the colors, because I'm not a Los Angeles Lakers fan, but it looks like someone was that put this graphic together. But the idea is that these are designed based on research-based interaction for those that may have special needs. And so the programming components here are designed and built in a way that promotes inclusivity. And then you can see these benches in this rendering are located throughout the park to promote that interaction and Best Buddy concept. So under this, it would put Hilton Head in a leadership position with Best Buddies to execute this project and move the partnership forward. I do want to point out next steps. If council were to support this, we would coordinate with Best Buddies on a partnership announcement. We would coordinate with Miracle Recreation and Best Buddies to design the program of the equipment and programming for the park playground itself. In the current fiscal year capital improvement program, we have $500,000, and we are right now actively working to get schematic design complete, and by fall of this year, I think November is our target, and then detailed design in next spring in April. So we put spring of 2025. We would need to program the construction dollars for this park expansion with the town manager in his budget development and council through their consideration as early as fiscal 26. We plan to move into permitting and have that complete next fall, and then construction could occur late 25, but we've got it shown basically through the calendar year of 26 to be done if we kind of stick to this program. So I wanted to share that with town council for awareness. I'm here to answer any more questions. I know we have Sue from Churches that can probably give you a little bit more color on it than I can, but I'm happy to present this to you and listen to your consideration.
Prior to making a motion, Sue, would you like to make any comments regarding this? Any details that we missed?
Sean covered it really very well. Best Buddies, like he said, has been around for 35 years. Was started by Anthony Kennedy Shriver. They've been supporting the IDD community, which in the United States we have over 7 million people with either autism or cerebral palsy or some sort of major brain dysfunction that is it's beyond the physical inclusiveness for playgrounds, and they've been supporting that community by getting them education, giving them caregivers, places to live, and promoting work and jobs for these folks. But Miracle and Best Buddies came together early this spring or beginning of the year and just said, this is so perfect for us to partner up and be a playground, a very Best Buddies specific playground. And I think when we approached the town, part of it was because we knew that you already had playground plans to improve some of the playgrounds, but also because you just sat through a 30-minute beautiful dissertation about the marketing of Hilton Head. This would add to that social media blast and create also another identity for the town of Hilton Head to bring more people here.
Right.
So being the Best Buddies community, but I'm here to answer any questions if you don't have any.
Mr. Ames?
No, I have a comment, not a question.
Okay.
But it does go on exactly with what you were talking about. This is important to the community. And it's important to the people who will eventually enjoy it. he used the word whose brains, how did you say, not dysfunction, but
Not functioning properly.
yeah, I'm inclined to say that function in a different way.
Perfect.
I think it's important for the larger community to look at these people as potential sources of information rather than someone who needs our help. So I prefer that we look at it as minds and brains that function differently. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any motion? First?
Yeah, I do have a motion. I move council approve a resolution to support a Bus Buddy certified inclusive playground at Shelter Cove Park.
Second.
Kim, do we have anybody that signed up to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Okay. Discussion from council? Comments, questions?
Just some quick comments. Wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you for bringing it to us. Shelter Cove, I think, would be an excellent location. That's definitely a high-use playground area, and it's a beautiful setting, great opportunity. And yes, Mayor, I worked at a day camp for children. I really did.
I haven't heard that in a while.
My mom was the day camp director, and when I was in high school, and we paired up with children with intellectual and developmental disabilities, our main recreational activity was taking them swimming. We didn't have a playground then to take them to, but it's just incredible. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing it in action. And I look forward to all the colors, too. But it looked as though there was also some programming opportunities, maybe through an app or something, where you might be able to learn how to use the particular playground equipment. I'm not sure what all those little signs were, but I'm sure there's a way to learn how to use it if someone didn't know.
The signs are basically the pillars, the 5 pillars of Best Buddies and what they stand for, which was that creating employment opportunities, finding caregivers on down the line. And the colors are the Best Buddies branded colors, but they don't have to be used. There is a certain number of criteria that we do have to include to make it a Best Buddies certified playground. They do suggest some of the colors, so we may have some of the colors, but we don't have to have all 5 of them.
All right. I like rainbows. I'm all for it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
So we know the Kennedys were Celtics fans.
And I just want to add, Sean prepared on the screen a few slides earlier, the schedule, and we'll talk about that at budget. But please know, in the meantime, we're also seeking grant opportunities for this through South Carolina Park Rec and Tourism and any other opportunities we have for grants for this type of playground and this type of park.
That's a great point.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
I have a question, Mr.
Mr. Stanford?
Mayor, I have a question.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you. I too support this. I think it's an outstanding idea. It would provide a facility to take care of some of our citizens that we're really not giving enough attention to. But Sean, I have a question. I don't understand partnership here. In the case of partnership, is the town putting up all of the money and all of the land, and we're using the expertise of Best Buddies? Are we giving up any control of our park facilities to Best Buddies or anyone else?
So it's Councilman Sandberg, excellent question. The town would fund the entire project. As I mentioned in one of the last slides, the benefit of the partnership is the promotional opportunity to brand as a leader and partner with the Best Buddies and Miracle Recreation on this new concept. I don't think we lose any ability or control, but we do have to include those programming elements from Best Buddies within the playground to keep it consistent with their program.
So there will be a partnership agreement, I assume, that will be reviewed by council in the future.
Well, that's a good question. With this support, we'd like to just incorporate the Best Buddy concept into the programming for the playground feature of the approved master plan. The town would be responsible for the cost of maintenance and operation but we would coordinate on the design and integration of the program elements within the park playground before executing the project.
The problem here is that you're dealing with a recovering lawyer, and when people talk about partnerships, you think about a partnership agreement. So I'm sure that'll be developed adequately in the future, and I'll support the project. Thank you.
Mr. Stanford, in the resolution, it says to support a Best Buddies certified inclusive playground. So it is just showing our council support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This community worked very hard when we were developing our comprehensive plan, which I'm proud to say that when we do things like this, it's not just words on paper. Okay, there's a whole section in our comp plan that talks about us being an inclusive community, and this does that. Okay, and to be the first is also something to be celebrated. So kudos to the town manager and his staff for exploring these type of opportunities, and looking forward to supporting it today and also in the future with the budget approval.
Other comments, questions? Ms. Becker?
Nothing more than thank you for coming forward and introducing the program to us. It is definitely in line with our values. Shelter Cove is an excellent park for this to be incorporated into. Thank you.
So I will say, you know, through the Challenge Camp at the Rec Center, there's another organization that's escaping my mind right now, but, you know, the need for the recreational components exists, and having that here for us to be one of the first communities is really a very special thing. So, and my mic is, there we go. And so with that being said, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That would be 7-0. Moving on to public comment. Section 2-5-70 of the town's code limits each person to 3 minutes when addressing town council. At the end of the 3 minutes, you are asked to include your comments. Please maintain a decorum suitable for the meeting and refrain from using any profane, abusive, or obscene language. If you have any materials you'd like to give the town council, please give them to the town clerk after you are finished speaking. Kimberly, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
We have two people. Richard Beasy.
Good afternoon, Richard Busy, Indigo Run. What this council did on June 28th in granting municipal consent to a deeply flawed project will go down in history, but for all the wrong reasons. With one exception, Tammy Becker, the council ignored the voices of large numbers of Hilton Head residents who expressed opposition to an 11-lane aircraft carrier slab of a bridge and a 6-lane expressway through the north end of the island. The design work, as you well know, for this project is only at 30%, and the estimated shortfall to finance this project is about $200 million and growing. And yet, after a 6-hour-plus meeting, the council gave its approval on a 6-to-1 vote. The failure of town council members to perform honest systems analysis of our serious congestion and growth issues borders on the criminal. The project sponsor is Beaufort County. Noted columnist David Lauderdale said recently, and I quote, "We need transportation help, but we need a county government we can trust." Matthew Hall, a distinguished South Carolina journalist for 30 years, said recently, and I quote again, "It's impossible to overstate how little trust Beaufort County government deserves right now. And yet, Beaufort County is the project sponsor." How insane is that? 3 of you are up for re-election, but 2 of you are stepping down. Mr. Ames told us it's going to be just like the Cross Island Parkway controversy. Once the project is completed, people will begin to love it. Mr. Stanford told us that he would rely on the experts, but the town manipulated those experts to hide the fact that the DOT plan will not solve our problems. The 2 of you will have plenty of time to reflect on your words of wisdom and your soon-to-be retirement. And Mr. Brown will have to wonder if $10 million was enough to ensure his re-election. And the mayor still needs to explain what I call his Richard Nixon, I am not a crook statement. You know, when you said, I wasn't blackmailed and I wasn't paid off, why did you feel compelled to make such a statement? Mark my words, we may have lost this battle, but we have not lost the war. Our fight to preserve and protect this island is not over. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Melinda Tunner.
Good afternoon. Giving municipal consent is just one step in a very long process in the building of a new bridge and roadways. And the latest estimate I heard was that it would be completed by the end of 2030, when you take into account the design, permitting, and construction process. While we wait, we should focus on things we can do to improve traffic flow. For example, continued focus on improving the performance of the integrated traffic lights with regular updates to the public, integrating the light at Windmill Harbor, which is supposed to be done within 30 days, and exploring other transportation and traffic strategies as identified in the study. Let's not wait to make traffic flow improvements that align to the long-term plan. I also have a number of questions about how the public will be kept up to date regarding the project. When is Beaufort County expected to vote on the MOA, which is the town's expectations regarding a number of significant items? What will happen if Beaufort County does not agree to approve the MOA or specific items are removed? What will be the mechanism to keep the public informed of the progress? How will the town organize its resources around this and work together with the county? And will future decisions that are made by town council be part of the public town council process? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
All right, thank you.
Mayor,
Mr.
if I can jump in just for a second.
We're not going to,
No, I'm just asking you a question.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
needing a moment here. As a council member who's just listened to comments from our residents, and it seems to me that we have often sat and listened with all ears and interest to our residents make comments and ask specific questions, and there's never a time when those questions get answered to our residents. And I think that they're due an answer. I think when they ask us for information, that they're due an answer. Perhaps not all those answers can come immediately at the moment they're asked. I understand that. But I'd like to know what the mechanism is to make sure that when our residents are interested.
I'll let Mr. Orlando address that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. That's a great question. As Ms. Tunner was speaking, I was up here typing. I think I got 7 out of her 8 questions, and I'll go back with our town clerk and follow up. So most of the time, if a member of the public asks a question where there's an answer we can provide versus a statement, we will get their name, their number, and their contact information if we don't already have it through our town clerk, and we will do our best to answer that. A lot of times during public comment, though, I'm not sitting up here to provide answers right at that time, but I will just assure this council and the public that I am taking those good notes. That's why I'm up here typing and back and forth with Kim during this entire meeting and afterwards.
Right.
So I'll follow up. I assure you, I might have to ask you what your 8th question is, but I received 7 of them. So thank you.
Thank you. And it would be great if we could develop a place, because other people hearing those questions may also have the same questions and want the answers too. So if there's a place we can develop where public can look to get those answers.
When our new communications director comes in, we'll address that with her. Yeah. All right, is there a need to go into executive session, Mr. Orlando?
Yes, sir. As shown on the town council agenda, item 11, executive session, items A and B.
Do we have a motion?
I move we go into executive session for the reasons cited by the town manager.
Do you have a second? Second. We have a first and second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We are in executive session. a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Can I have a second? We've got a first and a second. We are out of executive session.
There was no action. Hey, Josh, any help?
You need your watch fixed?
Mr. Ames, do we have any action coming out of executive session?
Yes, we do, Mayor. There are two action items. The first is I move that the town council authorize, I beg your pardon, there are three. I move that the town council authorize the town manager be authorized to execute and deliver a revocable license agreement by and between the town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and the beach house owner, LLC, granting the town and its contractors a right of entry over the property of the beach house owner, LLC, for access to the beaches of the Atlantic Ocean.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 6-0.
The second motion is, I move that the town council authorize the mayor and the town manager be authorized to execute and deliver the agreement by and between the town of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and 69 Pope Avenue LLC for the purchase and sale of 1.286 acres, more or less, on Pope Avenue, and to take such other and further actions as may be necessary to complete the transactions described in the agreement.
Do we have a second? Mr. Alfred? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. So moved, 6-0.
The third motion is, I move the town council extend the contract with the town of Hilton Head Island attorney for the additional 12 months under the same terms and conditions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. So moved, 6-0. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion to adjourn. Adjourned.